raise your hand if you have ever received flowers. Good. Well, those of you that have may have had the desire to preserve them, whether that be to keep them looking pretty for like sentimental value or to maybe use them in art. I personally have had the privilege of doing both. I've received multiple flowers in my life, and I've had the desire and want to preserve them, and I'm going to show you a couple of ways to do that today. So in this speech, I'm going to show you 2 ways to preserve them. 1, hanging them upside down with a hanger, and then 2, pressing them in a book. If you have ever received flowers, which I feel everyone should, you might want no just to keep them looking pretty or just to press them and use them in art. So the first method I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you to hang them upside down. And so the first step would be to gather your materials. So for this, it's pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. You would want to have a hanger, one with these clips that you see here, and then a flower. I usually like to use like a rose for this because it's a bigger flower, and it's like, for the pressing, you need like a smaller flower. But for this one, you would want a bigger flower. So for this, you would want, the second step would be to hang it upside down and clip it, and then you'd want to like make sure that it's like on there because you don't want it falling off when it's just hanging there. So you clip it, and then you would take it into a dark room, and a room that is like evenly like temperature wise, because you don't want it to get too like musty because it could get moldy and the discoloration could happen. So for demonstration purposes, I'm just gonna hang it right here. So this is what you would do in your little dark space to keep it looking, and then you would leave it there for a couple of weeks and then take it out, and it should be fully dry. So this is one that is was in the middle of doing that. You see it's like still like soft up here, but the leaves are hard. And so the next method I'm going to be showing you is how to press it. So for this you would need, first you would need to gather your supplies. You need parchment paper, and you need a really big book. So I have this literature book with me here because it's huge. And so you would take your flowers, and you want to put them in your parchment paper, lay them out not too close together, and then you want to fold your parchment paper on top of that, fold it like a little pizza or whatever, and then you want to take your book, flip it to the back side of the book, and then place that inside, and then just flip your book on top of that, press down a little bit, I like to, and then you can either leave this sitting here in your room on like a hard surface, or you can just stack other books on top of it to speed up the process, whatever you feel like you want to do. So now that I've showed you this, I'm going to give you guys your own flowers. Sorry. So you can do this in any color of flower, but usually you want to try to go with the darker flowers because they tend to keep their vibrance more, but every flower is a little bit different. So it depends on how you want it to look, and every flower doesn't dry the same way either. So it's kind of like a mixed bag with that too. So if you've received a flower, which everyone has in this room now, I feel that everyone should, and you can either do that to preserve them or in any sort of way. You can press them like I showed you, or you can hang them upside down. So in this demonstration, we looked at 2 ways to do that. You can press them in a book, which is better for preserving them for art, or you can hang them upside down to keep them looking pretty. So remember when I asked you if you had ever received a flower? I genuinely think that everyone should, because they give you so much joy and they hold so much sentimental value. And now that you have your own, please enjoy them and preserve them any way you want, and let me know how it goes.